The 21st century began with a promise of peace and prosperity. Yet, it has been marred by conflict and instability. Two conflicts in particular have shaken the world: the war in Ukraine and the conflict between Israel and Hamas. These crises, thousands of miles apart, are tragically interconnected. They reveal the fragility of the global order and the deep divisions that plague humanity. These conflicts are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a deeper malaise, a world grappling with climate change, resource scarcity, and political polarization. In this interconnected world, the consequences of conflict are felt far beyond the immediate battlefields. These conflicts demand our attention, not just for the sake of those directly affected, but for the future of humanity. We must understand the causes, the consequences, and the potential solutions. Only then can we hope to build a more peaceful and just world. In February 2022, the world watched in horror as Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This act of aggression shattered decades of relative peace in Europe. The invasion, ordered by Russian President Vladimir Putin, was met with fierce resistance from the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people, led by President Volodymyr Zelensky, have shown incredible courage and resilience. They have taken up arms to defend their homeland. The international community has largely condemned Russia's actions. The conflict in Ukraine is a tragedy for both nations. Millions have been displaced from their homes. Thousands have lost their lives. Cities have been reduced to rubble. The human cost of this conflict is immeasurable. The conflict between Israel and Hamas is a long and complex one, rooted in decades of history. It is a conflict marked by violence, mistrust, and a profound sense of grievance on both sides. The recent escalation of violence in October 2023 has brought the conflict back to the forefront of global attention. The conflict is ultimately about land, identity, and security. Both sides claim the same land as their own. Both sides have legitimate grievances. This has led to a seemingly intractable cycle of violence. The conflict has taken a heavy toll on both Israelis and Palestinians. Civilians, including children, have borne the brunt of the violence. The conflict has also fueled extremism and instability in the region. Both the Ukraine-Russia and Israel-Hamas conflicts have exposed and exacerbated existing global divisions. The conflicts have drawn new battle lines in international relations. They have forced countries to choose sides. The West, led by the United States and its allies, has condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine. They have imposed sanctions on Russia and provided military and financial aid to Ukraine. However, other countries, such as China and India, have taken a more neutral stance. Similarly, the Israel-Hamas conflict has highlighted the divisions within the international community. The United States and many Western nations have traditionally supported Israel. Other countries are more sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. These divisions have made it difficult to find diplomatic solutions to these conflicts. They have also raised concerns about a new Cold War. Section 5, the economic fallout, energy, food, and inflation. The economic consequences of these conflicts have been felt worldwide. The war in Ukraine in particular has disrupted global energy markets. Russia is a major supplier of oil and gas. The conflict has led to price spikes and supply disruptions. Moreover, both Ukraine and Russia are major grain exporters. The conflict has disrupted global food supplies. This is particularly concerning for countries in the Middle East and Africa that rely heavily on grain imports. These factors, combined with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, have contributed to rising inflation globally. This has eroded the purchasing power of people around the world. It has also increased the risk of social unrest. Section 6. A humanitarian crisis. Displacement and suffering. The human cost of these conflicts has been devastating. Millions have been displaced from their homes. They are living in overcrowded shelters or camps. They lack access to basic necessities like food, water, and healthcare. The conflict in Ukraine has created Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II. Millions of Ukrainians, mostly women and children, have fled to neighboring countries. They are straining the resources of host countries. The Israel-Hamas conflict has also resulted in significant displacement and suffering. Thousands of Palestinians have been displaced from their homes in Gaza. They are facing a dire humanitarian situation. The psychological toll of these conflicts is immeasurable. Children have witnessed unimaginable horrors. Families have been torn apart. The trauma of these experiences will have a lasting impact. Section 7. The military dimension. A new arms race. Both the Ukraine-Russia and Israel-Hamas conflicts have highlighted the dangers of militarization. They have raised concerns about a new arms race. The flow of weapons into conflict zones only exacerbates the violence. It makes it more difficult to find peaceful solutions. The conflict in Ukraine has shown the devastating consequences of modern warfare. Cities have been reduced to rubble by indiscriminate shelling. Civilians have been targeted. The use of sophisticated weaponry has resulted in massive casualties. The Israel-Hamas conflict has also demonstrated the deadly effectiveness of modern weapons. Rockets have rained down on Israeli cities. Airstrikes have targeted densely populated areas in Gaza. The civilian death toll has been horrific. These conflicts should serve as a wake-up call. The world must find a way to de-escalate tensions. We must invest in diplomacy and conflict resolution. The alternative is too terrible to contemplate. Section 8. Long-term consequences. A more fragmented world. The long-term global consequences of these conflicts are still unfolding. However, several trends are already apparent. These conflicts have deepened global divisions. They have increased distrust between nations. This makes it more difficult to address global challenges. Furthermore, these conflicts have exacerbated resource scarcity. This is driving up prices for essential goods like food and energy. This is disproportionately impacting the world's poorest and most vulnerable populations. The ongoing refugee crises stemming from these conflicts are also a major concern. Millions are displaced, putting a strain on resources and social systems. This has the potential to destabilize entire regions. If these trends continue, the world risks becoming more fragmented and unstable. This could lead to a future marked by conflict, displacement, and suffering. Section 9. Conclusion. The urgent need for peace and cooperation. The conflicts in Ukraine and between Israel and Hamas are tragedies on a global scale. They are a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the urgent need for international cooperation. These conflicts highlight the interconnectedness of our world. What happens in one part of the world inevitably affects us all. Finding lasting solutions to these conflicts will require a concerted effort from the international community. We need to prioritize diplomacy, dialogue, and conflict resolution. We must address the root causes of these conflicts, including historical grievances, political instability, and competition for resources. More importantly, we need to shift our focus from confrontation to cooperation. We must learn to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow human beings sharing this fragile planet. The future of humanity depends on our ability to build a more peaceful and just world